Hey guys, tonight we're stepping into the dusty halls of medieval Baghdad, where brilliant minds are hunched over star charts by flickering candlelight, and you can almost smell the ink drying on parchments that will change how humanity sees the night sky forever. Picture this. It's the year 1150, you're walking through the legendary House of Wisdom, and scholars are frantically debating whether that bright red star should be called the Follower or the Watcher, decisions that will echo through 1,000 years of stargazing. You probably won't survive the intellectual intensity of these medieval astronomy debates. But hey, at least you'll learn why half the stars in our sky have Arabic names. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and local time. I'm curious where in the world you're listening to this stellar journey unfold. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You find yourself standing in the courtyard of Baghdad's House of Wisdom in the year 1150, and the air practically hums with intellectual energy. This isn't just any library. This is the beating heart of medieval Islamic scholarship, where the greatest minds of the age gather to unlock the secrets of the universe. The morning call to prayer has just echoed across the city, but inside these walls, scholars are already deep in heated discussions about star positions, clutching worn copies of ancient Greek texts and fresh Arabic translations. The House of Wisdom, or Beit al-Hikmah, represents something unprecedented in human history, a systematic effort to collect, translate, and expand upon all human knowledge. You watch as a young scholar carefully copies star coordinates from a Greek manuscript, his Arabic script flowing like water across the parchment. Historians still argue whether the House of Wisdom was a single institution or a network of scholarly centers. But what's undeniable is its revolutionary impact on astronomy. Here's where things get fascinating. These aren't just translators mindlessly converting Greek to Arabic. You're witnessing the birth of a new astronomical tradition that will improve upon ancient knowledge in ways the original authors never imagined. A bearded astronomer named Ahmed ibn Mohammed al-Farghani approaches you, his robes dusty from a night spent on the observatory roof. He's holding what looks like a primitive astrolabe, its bronze surface gleaming with intricate markings. The Greeks gave us the foundation, he explains in Arabic, gesturing toward a stack of Ptolemy's works, but we're building the house. This isn't idle boasting. Islamic astronomers are about to revolutionize stellar nomenclature in ways that will persist for nearly a millennium. You notice how these scholars don't just accept ancient wisdom. They question, verify, and improve upon it with an almost scientific rigor that won't be matched in Europe for centuries. The translation movement happening around you represents one of history's greatest intellectual achievements. Greek astronomical texts, particularly Ptolemy's Almagest, are being rendered into Arabic with meticulous care. But here's the quirky part. Many of these Greek texts actually contain Babylonian star observations that are already over 1,000 years old. You're essentially watching a game of astronomical telephone spanning 3 civilizations and 2 millennia. A young translator shows you his work in progress, a fresh Arabic version of Ptolemy's star catalog. The Greek names are being systematically replaced with Arabic equivalents, but not randomly. Each name reflects careful observation and cultural meaning. Where the Greeks saw mythological figures, Arab astronomers often see practical descriptions. The Follower, the Bright One, the Shoulder of the Giant. The scholarly atmosphere here is intoxicating. You overhear debates about star magnitudes, arguments over constellation boundaries, and passionate discussions about whether certain dim stars even exist. One elderly astronomer insists that Ptolemy miscounted the stars in Ursa Major, while another claims to have discovered new stars entirely. These aren't just academic exercises. Accurate star catalogs are essential for navigation, timekeeping, and religious observations. What strikes you most is the international character of this enterprise. Scholars from Persia, Central Asia, North Africa, and Al-Andalus converge here, bringing their own astronomical traditions and observational techniques. A Persian astronomer shares his grandfather's notes on variable stars, while a scholar from Cordoba describes new constellation patterns visible from Iberian skies. The House of Wisdom operates on a scale that's almost industrial. Teams of translators work in shifts, scribes make multiple copies of important texts, and astronomers conduct systematic observations from purpose-built observatories. You're witnessing the medieval equivalent of a space program, complete with international collaboration and cutting-edge technology. As evening approaches, you follow a group of astronomers to the roof observatory. The night sky above Baghdad blazes with stars invisible to modern city dwellers, and you realize these scholars are working with the same raw material that has inspired humans since the dawn of consciousness. But they're approaching it with unprecedented systematic rigor, creating star catalogs that will guide sailors, scholars, and dreamers for centuries to come. The work happening in this legendary institution will soon spread across the Islamic world, from Cordoba to Samarkand, creating a unified astronomical tradition that transcends political and cultural boundaries. You're standing at the epicenter of a knowledge revolution that will reshape humanity's relationship with the cosmos. You step deeper into the scholarly world of 10th century Isfahan, where Abd al-Rahman al-Sufi is about to create the most revolutionary star catalog the medieval world has ever seen. The year is 964 CE, and you're watching a man who will single-handedly transform how humanity maps the night sky. Al-Sufi sits hunched over his desk, surrounded by astrolabes, star charts, and observation logs that represent decades of meticulous work. His eyes are slightly red from countless nights spent squinting at celestial objects, but his hands remain steady as he sketches constellation figures with remarkable precision. Here's what makes al-Sufi extraordinary. He's not content to simply copy Ptolemy's ancient star catalog. Instead, he's conducting systematic observations to verify, correct, and expand upon the Greek master's work. You watch as he carefully measures star positions using an armillary sphere, a complex bronze instrument that looks like a three-dimensional puzzle of rotating rings. Each measurement requires patience and skill. 1 degree of error could throw off navigation calculations for centuries. Al-Sufi's masterwork, the Book of Fixed Stars, or Kitab Suwar al-Kawakib al-Thabita, represents something unprecedented in astronomical history. You peer over his shoulder as he works on constellation drawings that are both scientifically accurate and artistically beautiful. Unlike the crude, stick-figure representations common in earlier texts, al-Sufi's constellation figures are detailed, proportional, and anatomically correct. His drawing of Andromeda shows flowing robes and realistic human proportions, while his depiction of the Great Bear captures the animal's muscular form with artistic flair. But here's the quirky detail that sets al-Sufi apart. He draws each constellation twice, once as it appears in the sky, and once as it would look on a celestial globe. This dual perspective approach won't be matched by European astronomers for another 500 years. You realize you're witnessing a level of three-dimensional thinking that's almost modern in its sophistication. The precision of al-Sufi's work becomes apparent as you examine his star magnitude system. While Ptolemy used a rough 6-point scale for star brightness, al-Sufi introduces fractional magnitudes and detailed brightness comparisons. He notes that Aldebaran is brighter than stars of the second magnitude, but not quite reaching the first, a level of precision that won't be surpassed until the invention of photometric instruments in the 19th century. Historians still argue whether al-Sufi worked entirely alone or led a team of assistants, but the consistency of his observations suggests a single, methodical mind at work. You watch him cross-reference his own observations with those of earlier Islamic astronomers, particularly the work of al-Battani, whose corrections to Ptolemy's star positions proved remarkably accurate. Al-Sufi's catalog contains 1025 stars, each with carefully recorded coordinates, magnitude estimates, and descriptive notes. But what makes his work revolutionary is the cultural translation happening alongside the scientific one. Greek constellation names are being systematically replaced with Arabic equivalents that reflect Islamic astronomical tradition. The Greek Antarcticos becomes al-Suhail, while Procyon transforms into al-Shira al-Shamia. You notice something fascinating about al-Sufi's observational technique. He doesn't just record what he sees, he questions why he sees it. When certain stars appear dimmer than Ptolemy described, al-Sufi doesn't assume measurement error. He considers the possibility that stars might actually change brightness over time. This insight into stellar variability won't be fully understood until the modern era, but al-Sufi's careful notes preserve evidence of these changes for future astronomers. The artistic quality of al-Sufi's work serves a practical purpose beyond mere aesthetics. His detailed constellation figures help observers identify star patterns in the actual sky, bridging the gap between abstract star catalogs and real-world navigation. A sailor using al-Sufi's charts could recognize Orion not just from coordinate lists, but from the distinctive figure of a warrior with raised club and flowing robes. Al-Sufi's influence extends far beyond pure astronomy. His star catalog becomes the foundation for astrolabe construction throughout the Islamic world. You watch craftsmen in distant workshops using his star positions to engrave the intricate markings on these portable astronomical computers. Each astrolabe carries al-Sufi's precision into the hands of navigators, timekeepers, and scholars across 3 continents. The international impact of al-Sufi's work becomes clear as you observe copies of his manuscript being prepared for distribution. Scribes in Cairo, Cordoba, and Damascus are carefully reproducing his star charts, spreading his innovations across the Islamic world. Within a century, al-Sufi's star names and positions will be standard references from Spain to Central Asia. What strikes you most about al-Sufi's approach is his combination of scientific rigor and cultural sensitivity. He preserves the mathematical precision of Greek astronomy while adapting it to Islamic needs and perspectives. His work represents not just translation, but transformation. You find yourself in the bustling translation center of 9th century Baghdad, where one of history's most ambitious intellectual projects is unfolding before your eyes. The Arabic translation movement isn't just about converting Greek texts into Arabic. It's a systematic effort to absorb, understand, and improve upon the entire corpus of ancient scientific knowledge. You watch as teams of translators work with almost industrial efficiency, transforming Ptolemy's massive Almagest from its original Greek into the Arabic that will become the foundation of Islamic astronomy. The scene around you resembles a medieval version of a modern research institute. Translators huddle over manuscripts, comparing multiple Greek versions to ensure accuracy, while astronomers test translated concepts against actual observations. The air buzzes with intellectual energy as scholars debate the precise meaning of technical terms that have no direct Arabic equivalents. You're witnessing the birth of Arabic scientific vocabulary, as translators create new words to express complex astronomical concepts. Here's where the process gets fascinating. These aren't just literal translations. The scholars around you are actively improving upon Ptolemy's work, correcting errors they discover through their own observations. A translator named Hunayn ibn Ishaq approaches you, his hands stained with ink from hours of careful copying. He explains that Ptolemy's star coordinates contain systematic errors that become obvious when checked against the actual sky. "We don't just translate," he says with a slight smile, "we perfect." The Almagest itself represents a monumental challenge for translators. Ptolemy's original Greek text contains over 1,000 stars organized into 48 constellations, each with detailed coordinate measurements and magnitude estimates. But here's the quirky part. Many of Ptolemy's observations were actually copied from earlier Babylonian and Greek sources, some dating back over 500 years. You're watching translators unknowingly work with astronomical data that spans nearly a millennium of observations. The translation process reveals the international character of medieval Islamic scholarship. You observe translators working from Greek, Syriac, and even Sanskrit sources, creating a synthesis of astronomical knowledge from across the known world. A Persian scholar shows you a Sanskrit text on planetary motion, while another translator works from a Syriac version of Ptolemy that contains annotations by earlier Christian astronomers. Historians still argue whether the translation movement was centrally coordinated or emerged organically from scholarly demand, but the results speak for themselves. Within 2 centuries, virtually every important Greek scientific text has been rendered into Arabic, often in multiple versions by competing translation teams. The competitive atmosphere drives quality improvements, as each translator strives to create the most accurate and readable version. You notice something remarkable about how star names are being handled during translation. Rather than simply transliterating Greek names into Arabic script, translators are creating entirely new naming systems based on Arabic linguistic patterns and cultural references. The Greek Arcturus becomes al-Simek al-Rahmi, the lofty spear-bearer, while Spica transforms into al-Simek al-Azal, the unarmed one. These aren't random changes. They reflect careful consideration of how Arabic speakers conceptualize celestial objects. The mathematical precision required for astronomical translation becomes apparent as you watch scholars work with Ptolemy's coordinate systems. Ancient Greek astronomers used a complex system of degrees, minutes, and fractions that must be accurately preserved in Arabic. A single error in star coordinates could render an entire constellation useless for navigation purposes. You observe translators using astrolabes and armillary spheres to verify their translated star positions against the actual sky. The cultural impact of this translation work extends far beyond astronomy. As Greek star names become Arabic ones, they carry new cultural associations and mythological connections. You watch as translators debate whether to preserve Greek constellation stories or create new Arabic narratives for star patterns. The compromise they reach, maintaining the star groupings while adapting the cultural context, will influence how Islamic civilization relates to the night sky for centuries. The technological infrastructure supporting this translation movement is impressive. Scriptoriums employ teams of specialized scribes who can accurately copy astronomical diagrams and mathematical tables. You observe master copyists training apprentices in the precise art of reproducing star charts, where a misplaced dot could represent a navigation error of hundreds of miles. What strikes you most is the systematic nature of this enterprise. This isn't random translation driven by individual curiosity. It's a coordinated effort to acquire and master the scientific heritage of previous civilizations. Caliph al-Mamun has established the House of Wisdom specifically to support this work, providing funding, resources, and institutional support for translators and astronomers. The astronomical implications of this translation work become clear as you examine the finished products. Arabic versions of the Almagest aren't just faithful copies. They're improved editions that correct errors, add new observations, and integrate insights from multiple sources. The Greek foundation remains, but it's been strengthened and expanded by Islamic scholarship. As you watch scribes prepare final copies of translated astronomical texts for distribution across the Islamic world, you realize you're witnessing a knowledge revolution. These Arabic versions of Greek astronomical works will soon reach scholars from Spain to Central Asia, creating a unified astronomical tradition that transcends political and cultural boundaries. The star names being created in this translation center will guide navigators and inspire poets for over 1,000 years. You step into the cool evening air of 10th century Isfahan, where Abd al-Rahman al-Sufi is pointing toward a brilliant red star hanging low in the eastern sky. Aldebaran, he says softly, and you're about to discover how this single star name will survive 1,000 years to become one of the most recognizable stars in our modern sky. The star we know as Aldebaran blazes with orange-red fire, and al-Sufi's weathered finger traces its position relative to the distinctive V-shaped cluster of stars surrounding it. The name Aldebaran literally means the follower in Arabic, and al-Sufi explains the reasoning with the patience of a master teacher. You watch as he gestures toward the Pleiades cluster, that tight grouping of blue-white stars that Arabs call al-Thuriya. Night after night, Aldebaran appears to chase this star cluster across the sky, rising shortly after the Pleiades and following their path through the heavens. The name captures this celestial dance with poetic precision. Aldebaran is forever the follower, eternally pursuing but never catching the seven sisters. Here's where the story gets fascinating. This isn't just al-Sufi's invention. You're witnessing the culmination of centuries of Arabic astronomical tradition that stretches back to pre-Islamic Bedouin star lore. Desert nomads had been calling this star the follower long before Islamic astronomers began their systematic star catalogs. Al-Sufi is preserving and codifying folk astronomy that emerged from practical necessity. Bedouin navigators needed reliable star names to guide their caravans across trackless desert wastes. The astronomical significance of Aldebaran becomes clear as al-Sufi demonstrates its use in timekeeping and navigation. This star serves as a crucial marker in the Arabic lunar calendar system, its heliacal rising, first appearance before dawn marking important seasonal transitions. You watch as he calculates prayer times using Aldebaran's position, demonstrating how religious observance and astronomical knowledge interweave in Islamic culture. But here's the quirky detail that makes Aldebaran special. It's not actually part of the Hyades cluster it appears to lead. Modern astronomy reveals that Aldebaran lies only 65 light-years from Earth, while the V-shaped Hyades cluster sits 150 light-years away. Medieval astronomers couldn't know this, but their observational skills were sharp enough to notice that Aldebaran's color and brightness differ subtly from the surrounding stars. Al-Sufi notes these differences in his catalog, describing Aldebaran as reddish, while characterizing the Hyades stars as white. The cultural resonance of the follower extends beyond pure astronomy into Arabic poetry and literature. You overhear scholars discussing how poets use Aldebaran as a metaphor for unrequited love, the eternal pursuer who never catches his beloved. This poetic dimension helps explain why Arabic star names proved so durable. They weren't just technical labels, but cultural touchstones that connected the night sky to human experience. Al-Sufi's precise observations of Aldebaran reveal the sophisticated methods of medieval Islamic astronomy. Using his astrolabe, he measures the star's position relative to the ecliptic, the sun's apparent path through the sky, and notes its magnitude as between the first and second classes of brightness. His coordinates for Aldebaran will remain the most accurate available to astronomers for over 500 years, a testament to his observational skill and instrumental precision. Historians still argue whether Arabic star names like Aldebaran originated with nomadic tribes or urban astronomers, but the evidence suggests a complex interaction between folk tradition and scholarly astronomy. Al-Sufi and his contemporaries didn't invent these names from scratch. They systematized and preserved a rich tradition of Arabic stellar nomenclature that had evolved over centuries of desert navigation and seasonal observation. The transmission of Aldebaran's name through history reveals the international influence of Islamic astronomy. As al-Sufi's star catalog spreads across the medieval world, Aldebaran becomes the standard reference for this star from Spain to Central Asia. Latin translations of Arabic astronomical texts will eventually render the name as Aldebaran, preserving the Arabic definite article al that marks so many star names in our modern sky. You notice how al-Sufi's description of Aldebaran balances scientific precision with cultural meaning. His catalog entry includes exact coordinates, magnitude estimates, and positional relationships, but also preserves the traditional name that connects this star to centuries of Arabic astronomical heritage. This synthesis of technical accuracy and cultural continuity characterizes the best of medieval Islamic astronomy. The practical applications of Aldebaran's name and position become apparent as you observe navigation training sessions. Student astronomers learn to use the follower as a reference point for locating other stars and constellations. Its distinctive color and brightness make it an ideal landmark in the night sky, while its relationship to the Pleiades provides a memorable mnemonic for star identification. As the night deepens and Aldebaran climbs higher in the sky, you realize you're witnessing the creation of astronomical heritage that will endure for millennia. You find yourself on a clear summer night in 11th century Cordoba, where the brilliant star Vega blazes directly overhead like a celestial beacon. The Islamic astronomer beside you, Ibn Rushd, points toward this dazzling blue-white star and speaks its Arabic name with reverence, al-Nasr al-Waki, the Swooping Eagle. You're about to discover how this single star became the northern pole star of ancient civilizations, and why its Arabic name captures one of the most dramatic images in stellar nomenclature. Vega dominates the summer sky with an intensity that's almost hypnotic. At magnitude 0.03, it's the fifth brightest star visible from Earth, and its pure white light has made it a natural reference point for astronomers across cultures and centuries. Ibn Rushd explains that al-Nasr al-Waki literally means the eagle falling, or the swooping eagle, and he gestures to show you the constellation pattern that inspired this name. The surrounding stars of Lyra form what Arab astronomers saw as an eagle with outstretched wings, diving toward the earth in a dramatic hunting stoop. Here's where the story gets fascinating. This isn't just poetic imagination. The Arabic name preserves an ancient astronomical tradition that recognizes Vega's unique position in the northern sky. Due to the slow wobble of Earth's axis called precession, Vega served as the northern pole star around 12,000 BCE and will do so again around 13,727 CE. Medieval Arab astronomers couldn't calculate these vast time scales, but they recognized Vega's special relationship to the celestial North Pole through careful observation of its minimal daily motion. The cultural significance of the Swooping Eagle extends deep into pre-Islamic Arabian astronomy. You learn that Bedouin navigators used Vega as a crucial reference point for desert travel, its high northern position making it visible throughout most of the night during summer months. The eagle imagery resonates with nomadic culture. These desert dwellers understood the hunting patterns of eagles and could visualize the star's position using this familiar metaphor. But here's the quirky detail that makes Vega special in astronomical history. It was the first star ever photographed in 1850 and the first to have its spectrum analyzed. Medieval Islamic astronomers couldn't know they were studying what would become the fundamental standard for stellar magnitude and spectral classification. But their careful observations of Vega's brightness and color laid groundwork for modern astrophysics. Ibn Rushd demonstrates Vega's use in practical astronomy by showing you how to find true north using the Swooping Eagle. Unlike Polaris, which sits very close to the celestial North Pole in our era, Vega in the medieval period traced a small circle around the pole throughout the night. Skilled navigators could determine precise north by observing Vega's position at different times, a technique that required both mathematical knowledge and careful timekeeping. The precision of Islamic observations becomes apparent as Ibn Rushd shares coordinate measurements for Vega from al-Sufi's star catalog. These medieval astronomers achieved remarkable accuracy using only naked-eye observations and simple instruments. Al-Sufi's position for al-Nasr al-Waqi differs from modern measurements by less than half a degree, an extraordinary achievement considering the tools available in the 10th century. Historians still argue whether the eagle imagery for Vega originated with Arab astronomers or was inherited from earlier Mesopotamian traditions. But the Arabic name, al-Nasr al-Waqi, represents a distinctly Islamic contribution to stellar nomenclature. The name captures both the star's visual appearance within its constellation and its dynamic relationship to the celestial sphere. This isn't a static eagle, but one caught in the dramatic moment of the hunt. The international influence of Arabic star names becomes clear as you examine how al-Nasr al-Waqi spread throughout the medieval world. Latin translations of Arabic astronomical texts rendered the name as Vega or vultur cadens, the falling vulture, preserving the essential imagery while adapting it to European linguistic patterns. The modern name, Vega, derives directly from the Arabic original, though the eagle imagery has been largely forgotten. You notice how Islamic astronomers balanced scientific precision with cultural meaning in their treatment of Vega. Their star catalogs include exact coordinates and magnitude estimates, but also preserve the traditional names and imagery that made stellar navigation accessible to non-specialists. A ship captain or caravan leader could use the Swooping Eagle without understanding complex astronomical mathematics. The technological applications of Vega's name and position become apparent as you observe astrolabe construction in a Cordoba workshop. Craftsmen engrave al-Nasr al-Waqi onto the star pointers of these portable astronomical computers, allowing users to quickly locate this crucial reference star. The eagle imagery helps users remember Vega's position relative to other northern stars, making astrolabe navigation more intuitive. The poetic dimension of the Swooping Eagle reflects the aesthetic sensibility that characterizes the best of Islamic astronomy. These weren't just technical specialists, but scholars who appreciated the beauty and drama of celestial phenomena. The name al-Nasr al-Waki transforms a point of light into a dynamic image that connects the night sky to earthly experience. As Vega continues its ancient dance around the celestial North Pole, you realize you're witnessing the preservation of astronomical knowledge that bridges practical navigation, cultural tradition, and scientific observation. The name al-Nasr al-Waki represents the sophisticated synthesis that you stand beneath the brilliant constellation Aquila on a warm summer evening in 12th century Damascus, where the astronomer al-Jazari is demonstrating the celestial mechanics of timekeeping, using the bright star directly overhead. Al-Nasr al-Tyr, he announces, pointing to the star we know as Altair, the flying eagle. You're about to discover how this rapidly spinning star became one of the most important navigational beacons in the medieval world, and why its Arabic name captures the essence of celestial motion with remarkable precision. Altair blazes at magnitude 0.77, making it the 12th brightest star in our night sky and the brightest member of the summer triangle. That distinctive asterism formed with Vega and Deneb. Al-Jazari explains that al-Nasr al-Tyr literally means the soaring eagle or the eagle in flight, distinguishing it from its celestial companion Vega, known as al-Nasr al-Waki, the swooping eagle. The two eagles of the summer sky represent different aspects of the hunt, one diving toward Earth, the other soaring through the heavens. Here's where the Arabic naming system reveals its sophisticated understanding of stellar relationships. Medieval Islamic astronomers recognized that these two eagles dominated opposite sides of the Milky Way during summer months. You watch as al-Jazari traces the celestial river of stars flowing between Altair and Vega, explaining how Bedouin navigators used these eagle stars as landmarks for crossing the river of heaven. The imagery isn't just poetic. It's a practical mnemonic system that helped desert travelers maintain their bearings during long night journeys. The astronomical significance of Altair becomes apparent as al-Jazari demonstrates its use in the medieval Islamic calendar system. This star's heliacal rising, first appearance before dawn, marked crucial seasonal transitions, particularly the beginning of the date harvest in many Islamic regions. You observe how religious and agricultural calendars interweave with stellar observation. The flying eagle announces not just astronomical events, but practical farming and trading seasons. But here's the quirky detail that makes Altair truly special. It's one of the fastest spinning stars visible to the naked eye, rotating once every 9 hours compared to our sun's 25-day rotation period. This rapid spin flattens the star into an oblate spheroid, making it wider at the equator than at the poles. Medieval astronomers couldn't measure this distortion, but they noticed something unusual about Altair's light, a subtle flickering that distinguished it from other bright stars. Al-Jazari notes this characteristic in his observations, describing Altair as having a restless quality that fits perfectly with the imagery of a flying eagle. The cultural resonance of the flying eagle extends throughout Arabic literature and poetry. You overhear scholars discussing how poets use Altair as a symbol of aspiration and freedom, the eagle that soars highest in the celestial sphere. This metaphorical dimension helps explain why Arabic star names proved so enduring. They weren't just technical labels, but cultural symbols that connected astronomical observation to human experience and emotion. Al-Jazari's precise measurements of Altair reveal the sophisticated instrumentation available to medieval Islamic astronomers. Using a large armillary sphere, he determines the star's coordinates relative to the celestial equator and notes its position within the constellation Aquila. His measurements will remain the most accurate available for centuries, demonstrating the remarkable precision achievable through careful naked-eye observation and mathematical analysis. Historians still argue whether the eagle imagery for Altair represents indigenous Arabic tradition or influence from earlier Greek and Mesopotamian astronomy. But the specific name, al-Nasr al-Tair, appears to be a distinctly Islamic contribution. The name emphasizes motion and flight, capturing something essential about this star's apparent behavior in the night sky: its rapid transit across the meridian and its prominent position in the flowing stream of the Milky Way. The practical applications of Altair's name and position become clear as you observe navigation training in Damascus. Student astronomers learn to use the Flying Eagle as a key reference point for stellar navigation, its bright magnitude and distinctive position making it ideal for determining both direction and time. The star's high declination means it passes nearly overhead for observers in the Islamic world, providing a reliable celestial landmark for travelers and timekeepers. You notice how the Arabic naming system for the eagle stars creates a coherent celestial narrative. Vega and Altair aren't just random bright stars. They're characters in an astronomical story that helps observers understand and remember stellar relationships. The Swooping Eagle and the Flying Eagle patrol opposite sides of the celestial river, their eternal dance marking the passage of seasons and the rhythm of night and day. The technological integration of Altair into Islamic astronomical instruments becomes apparent as you examine astrolabe construction. Craftsmen engrave al-Nasr al-Tair onto star pointers with careful attention to its precise position relative to other bright stars. The eagle imagery helps users quickly identify this crucial reference star, while its Arabic name preserves the cultural context that makes stellar navigation meaningful rather than merely technical. The international transmission of Altair's Arabic name follows the same pattern as other Islamic astronomical terms. As Arabic star catalogs spread throughout the medieval world, al-Nasr al-Tair becomes the standard reference for this star from Spain to Central Asia. Latin translations will eventually render the name as Altair, preserving the Arabic root while adapting it to European linguistic patterns. The modern name directly reflects its Arabic origin, though the eagle imagery has been largely forgotten in contemporary astronomy. As the Flying Eagle continues its rapid journey across the summer sky, you realize you're witnessing the creation of astronomical heritage that perfectly balances scientific precision. You find yourself in the observatory of 11th century Cairo, where the renowned astronomer Ibn al-Haytham is studying one of the most puzzling stars in the winter sky. He points toward the distinctive constellation of Orion, where a brilliant red star marks the hunter's shoulder, and speaks a name that will echo through centuries of astronomical confusion: Yad al-Jawza, or Mankib al-Jawza, the hand or shoulder of Jawza. You're about to uncover one of astronomy's greatest naming mysteries, as this Arabic designation transforms through centuries of translation errors into the modern name Betelgeuse. The star itself commands attention with its distinctive red-orange glow, blazing at variable magnitude between 0.0 and 1.6 as it pulses through its complex stellar life cycle. Ibn al-Haytham explains that Arabic astronomers call the entire constellation al-Jawza, which can mean either the central one or refer to a legendary female figure in Arabic mythology. The specific star marking the giant's shoulder carries the descriptive name Mankib al-Jawza, literally, the shoulder of Jawza, a designation that perfectly captures its position within the constellation pattern. Here's where the story gets fascinating and frustrating in equal measure. The modern name, Betelgeuse, represents one of history's most spectacular translation errors. You watch as Ibn al-Haytham carefully writes the Arabic Yad al-Jawza, Hand of Jawza, in his star catalog, never imagining that medieval European translators will somehow transform this into Betelgeuse. The corruption occurs through multiple stages of translation, Arabic to Latin to various European languages, with each step introducing new errors and misunderstandings. The astronomical significance of this red supergiant becomes apparent as Ibn al-Haytham demonstrates its use in seasonal timekeeping. Orion's prominent winter position makes it crucial for Islamic calendar calculations, and the shoulder star serves as a key reference point for determining prayer times and religious observances. You observe how the star's distinctive color helps distinguish it from the blue-white stars that dominate the rest of Orion, making it an ideal landmark for naked-eye navigation. But here's the quirky detail that makes this star truly special. Betelgeuse is one of the largest known stars in the universe, with a diameter roughly 1,000 times that of our Sun. If placed at the center of our solar system, it would engulf the orbits of Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Medieval Islamic astronomers couldn't measure these vast dimensions, but they recognized something unusual about this star's behavior: its noticeable brightness variations that occur over periods of months and years. Ibn al-Haytham's careful observations reveal the sophisticated methods of medieval Islamic astronomy. He notes that Mankib al-Jawza sometimes appears brighter than nearby stars and sometimes dimmer, a phenomenon that won't be fully understood until modern astrophysics reveals the complex pulsations of red supergiant stars. His detailed records of these brightness changes provide valuable data for modern astronomers studying stellar evolution. The cultural context of al-Jawza extends deep into pre-Islamic Arabian star lore. You learn that Bedouin astronomers had elaborate mythological stories about this constellation, often depicting it as a powerful female figure associated with seasonal changes and agricultural cycles. The shoulder star played a crucial role in these narratives, its red color often associated with blood, fire, or other dramatic imagery that helped preserve astronomical knowledge through oral tradition. Historians still argue whether al-Jawza represents an indigenous Arabic constellation or reflects influence from earlier Mesopotamian or Greek traditions. But the specific star names like Mankib al-Jawza appear to be distinctly Islamic contributions. The Arabic naming system emphasizes anatomical precision. Each major star in Orion receives a name that describes its exact position within the human or mythological figure. The precision of Islamic stellar nomenclature becomes apparent as you examine how different Arabic sources handle this star's name. Some astronomers prefer Yad al-Jawza, Hand of Jawza, while others use Mankib al-Jawza, Shoulder of Jawza, reflecting subtle differences in how they visualize the constellation figure. This flexibility in naming conventions demonstrates the living, evolving nature of Arabic astronomical tradition. The international transmission of Arabic star names reveals both the influence and the fragility of medieval scientific communication. As Islamic astronomical texts spread throughout Europe, names like Mankib al-Jawza undergo systematic corruption through translation errors, scribal mistakes, and linguistic misunderstandings. The transformation from Yad al-Jawza to Betelgeuse represents an extreme example of how scientific terminology can be distorted through cultural transmission. You notice how Ibn al-Haytham's treatment of this star balances observational precision with cultural continuity. His star catalog includes exact coordinates and magnitude estimates, but also preserves the traditional Arabic names that connect this star to centuries of Islamic astronomical heritage. The shoulder of Jawza isn't just a point of light. It's a cultural landmark that anchors the winter sky in familiar human imagery. The practical applications of this star's name and position become clear as you observe astrolabe construction in a Cairo workshop. Craftsmen engrave Mankib al-Jawza onto star pointers with careful attention to its relationship with other bright stars in Orion. The anatomical naming system helps users quickly locate this crucial reference star by visualizing the human figure outlined in the constellation. The technological significance of accurate star names becomes apparent when you consider their role in navigation and timekeeping. A single error in stellar nomenclature could lead to navigation mistakes, with potentially fatal consequences for desert travelers or maritime explorers. The precision of names like Mankib al-Jawza reflects the life and death importance of accurate astronomical knowledge in the medieval world. As the red giant continues its slow pulsations in the shoulder of Orion, you realize you're witnessing the creation and preservation of astronomical knowledge that will survive centuries of translation errors and cultural changes. The name Mankib al-Jawza represents the sophisticated precision of Islamic astronomy, even as its corruption into. You stand in the courtyard of the great observatory at Maraghe in 13th century Persia, where the astronomer Nasir al-Din al-Tusi is demonstrating the celestial mechanics of Orion's belt to a group of international scholars. The three brilliant stars that form the hunter's distinctive belt hang in perfect alignment above you, and al-Tusi speaks their Arabic names with the precision of a master craftsman. Al-Mintaka, the belt itself, and the individual stars al-Natak, al-Nilam, and Mintaka. You're about to discover how these Arabic names preserve not just stellar positions, but an entire system of celestial navigation that guided travelers across 3 continents. The astronomical precision of Orion's belt makes it one of the most important asterisms in human history. Al-Tusi explains that these 3 stars lie almost exactly on the celestial equator, making them visible from virtually every inhabited location on Earth. Their distinctive linear arrangement and similar brightness create a natural ruler in the sky, a celestial measuring stick that helps observers determine directions, estimate time, and locate other stars and constellations. Here's where the Arabic naming system reveals its sophisticated understanding of stellar relationships. Al-Mintaka doesn't just mean belt in the sense of a leather strap, but refers specifically to a jeweled belt or girdle worn by wealthy women. This imagery reflects the visual appearance of the 3 stars, which seem to sparkle like gems against the dark sky. Medieval Islamic astronomers weren't just creating technical labels. They were preserving cultural metaphors that made stellar navigation accessible to non-specialists. The individual star names within the belt demonstrate the precision of Arabic astronomical nomenclature. Al-Natak derives from al-Nitak, meaning the girdle, while al-Nilam comes from al-Nilam, referring to a string of pearls. Mintaka shares the same root as al-Mintaka, emphasizing the belt imagery that unifies this stellar grouping. You notice how these names create a coherent narrative, not just 3 random stars, but components of an elaborate celestial ornament. But here's the quirky detail that makes Orion's belt special in astronomical history. These three stars aren't actually related to each other in space. Modern astronomy reveals that Alnitak lies about 800 light-years from Earth. Alnilam sits at 1340 light-years, and Mintaka is roughly 900 light-years distant. They appear aligned only from our terrestrial perspective, a cosmic coincidence that medieval astronomers couldn't explain but certainly appreciated for its navigational utility. Al-Tusi's observations of the belt stars reveal the sophisticated instrumentation available to 13th-century Islamic astronomers. Using a large armillary sphere and precise angular measurements, he determines that the three stars span approximately 2.7 degrees of sky, roughly 5 times the apparent diameter of the full moon. This angular measurement becomes crucial for navigation calculations, allowing travelers to estimate distances and directions using the belt as a celestial protractor. The cultural significance of al-Mintaka extends throughout Islamic literature and poetry. You overhear scholars discussing how poets use Orion's belt as a metaphor for perfection and divine order, 3 stars in perfect alignment representing the harmony of creation. This poetic dimension helps explain why Arabic star names proved so durable. They weren't just technical terms but cultural symbols that connected astronomical observation to spiritual and aesthetic experience. The practical applications of the belt stars become apparent as you observe navigation training sessions. Student astronomers learn to use al-Mintaka as a fundamental reference for stellar navigation, its position on the celestial equator making it ideal for determining both latitude and direction. The belt's east-west orientation provides a natural compass in the sky, while its seasonal visibility helps travelers track the passage of time during long journeys. Historians still argue whether the belt imagery for these stars originated with Arab astronomers or was inherited from earlier Greek traditions. Ptolemy called them the Belt of Orion, but the specific Arabic names represent a distinctly Islamic contribution to stellar nomenclature. The emphasis on jewelry and ornamentation reflects the aesthetic sensibility of Islamic culture, transforming a simple star pattern into an elaborate celestial decoration. The international influence of Arabic star names becomes clear as you examine how al-Mintaka and its component stars spread throughout the medieval world. Latin translations of Arabic astronomical texts preserve these names with varying degrees of accuracy. Al-Natak, Al-Nilam, and Mintaka survive almost unchanged into modern astronomy, while al-Mintaka becomes the more generic Belt of Orion in European sources. You notice how the Arabic naming system for Orion creates a complete anatomical map of the constellation. The belt stars anchor the figure's torso, while other Arabic names describe the shoulders, Mankib al-Jawza, the feet, Ray al-Jawza, and various other anatomical features. This systematic approach to constellation nomenclature reflects the methodical nature of Islamic astronomy. Every bright star receives a name that describes its precise position within the larger pattern. The technological integration of belt star names into Islamic astronomical instruments becomes apparent as you examine astrolabe construction. Craftsmen engrave al-Mintaka onto star pointers with careful attention to the 3-star pattern, often using special symbols or markings to indicate the belt's linear arrangement. The jeweled belt imagery helps users quickly identify this crucial asterism, while the Arabic names preserve the cultural context that makes stellar navigation meaningful. The precision required for accurate star names becomes clear when you consider their role in religious observance. Islamic prayer times depend on accurate stellar positions, and errors in star identification could lead to incorrect calculations for dawn and evening prayers. The distinctive nature of al-Mintaka makes it an ideal reference for religious timekeeping, its position on the celestial equator providing reliable seasonal markers for Islamic calendar calculations. As Orion's jeweled belt continues its eternal journey across the night sky, you realize you're witnessing the preservation of astronomical knowledge that perfectly balances scientific precision with cultural meaning. The names al-Mintaka, al-Natak, al-Nalam, and Mintaka represent the sophisticated synthesis that made Islamic astronomy a bridge between practical. You find yourself in the winter darkness of 12th century Toledo, where the brilliant astronomer Gerard of Cremona is working alongside his Arabic colleague Ibn Qurra to understand one of the most distinctive stars in Orion's lower region. They point toward a blazing blue-white star that marks the hunter's left foot, and Ibn Qurra speaks its Arabic name with careful pronunciation. Jawza al-Yusra, the left foot of Jawza. You're about to discover how this single star name will survive nearly a millennium of linguistic evolution to become Rigel, one of the most luminous stars visible in our night sky. The star itself commands attention with its brilliant blue-white radiance, shining at magnitude 0.13 and serving as the seventh brightest star visible from Earth. Ibn Qurra explains that Jawza al-Yusra literally means the left foot of the central one, referring to the constellation figure that Arabic astronomers call al-Jawza. The anatomical precision of this name reflects the systematic approach Islamic astronomers took to stellar nomenclature. Every major star in Orion receives a designation that describes its exact position within the human figure outlined by the constellation. Here's where the Arabic naming system demonstrates its sophisticated understanding of visual astronomy. The left foot designation refers to the observer's left when facing the constellation figure, not the figure's own left foot. This perspective-based naming convention shows that medieval Islamic astronomers thought carefully about how star patterns appear to earthbound observers, creating a nomenclature system that remains intuitive for modern stargazers. The astronomical significance of Rigel becomes apparent as Ibn Qurra demonstrates its use in winter navigation and timekeeping. This star's position near the celestial equator makes it visible from both hemispheres, while its brilliant magnitude ensures visibility even in moderately light-polluted conditions. You observe how Islamic navigators use the left foot of Jawza as a crucial reference point for determining both direction and seasonal timing during winter months. But here's the quirky detail that makes Rigel truly extraordinary. Despite appearing as a single star to the naked eye, it's actually a complex multiple star system containing at least 4 individual stars. The primary component is a blue supergiant roughly 40 times more massive than our Sun and about 120,000 times more luminous. Medieval astronomers couldn't resolve this complexity, but they noticed something unusual about Rigel's light, a subtle color variation that distinguished it from other bright stars in Orion. Ibn Qurra's precise observation reveal the remarkable accuracy achievable through medieval Islamic astronomy. Using an astrolabe and careful angular measurements, he determines Rigel's position relative to other stars in Orion with precision that differs from modern measurements by less than half a degree. His notes describe the star's brilliant white color and its relationship to the distinctive nebulosity visible in Orion's sword region. The cultural context of Jawza al-Yusra extends deep into Arabic astronomical tradition. You learn that the complete figure of al-Jawza includes detailed anatomical designations for shoulders, belt, sword, and feet, creating a comprehensive map of one of the sky's most recognizable constellation patterns. The foot stars, Rigel marking the left foot and Saif indicating the right, anchor the figure and provide crucial reference points for stellar navigation. Historians still argue whether the detailed anatomical naming of Orion represents indigenous Arabic tradition or reflects Greek influence filtered through centuries of cultural transmission. But the specific precision of names like al-Jawza al-Yusra appears distinctly Islamic. The systematic approach to constellation nomenclature reflects the methodical nature of medieval Islamic astronomy, where every bright star receives careful positional designation. The international transmission of Rigel's Arabic name follows a fascinating path through medieval translation networks. As Islamic astronomical texts spread into Latin Europe, al-Jawza al-Yusra undergoes systematic simplification, eventually becoming Rigel through the natural linguistic process of abbreviation and adaptation. The modern name preserves the Arabic root while losing the specific anatomical reference that made the original designation so precise. You notice how Gerard of Cremona's Latin translation work preserves the essential meaning of Arabic star names while adapting them to European linguistic patterns. His translation of Ibn Qurra's star catalog renders al-Jawza al-Yusra as P Sinister Gigantes, left foot of the giant, maintaining the anatomical reference while translating it into Latin terminology that European astronomers could understand and use. The practical applications of Rigel's name and position become clear as you observe navigation training sessions in Toledo's astronomical school. Student navigators learn to use the left foot of Jawza as a fundamental reference for winter stellar navigation, its brilliant magnitude and distinctive position making it ideal for determining both latitude and direction during the season when Orion dominates the night sky. The technological integration of Rigel into Islamic astronomical instruments demonstrates the sophisticated craftsmanship of medieval instrument makers. You examine astrolabes where al-Jawza al-Yusra is carefully engraved onto star pointers, with special attention to its relationship with other bright stars in Orion. The anatomical naming system helps users quickly locate this crucial reference star by visualizing the human figure outlined in the constellation. The precision required for accurate stellar nomenclature becomes apparent when you consider the life and death importance of navigation accuracy. A single error in star identification could lead to navigation mistakes with potentially fatal consequences for desert caravans or maritime expeditions. The distinctive nature of al-Jawza al-Yusra makes it an ideal landmark. Its brilliant magnitude ensures visibility, while its anatomical designation provides an intuitive memory aid for star identification. The poetic dimension of Arabic star names becomes clear as you overhear scholars discussing how the foot imagery connects to broader cultural metaphors. In Arabic literature, feet often symbolize journeys, wandering, and the connection between earth and sky. al-Jawza al-Yusra isn't just a technical designation. It's a cultural symbol that connects astronomical observation to human experience and movement. As the brilliant left foot of Jawza continues its eternal march across the winter sky, you realize you're witnessing the creation of astronomical heritage that perfectly balances scientific precision with cultural meaning. The name, al-Jawza al-Yusra, represents the sophisticated synthesis that made Islamic astronomy a bridge between practical navigation and poetic imagination, creating stellar nomenclature that has guided travelers and inspired astronomers for nearly 1,000 years. You find yourself in the warm autumn evening of 11th century Cordoba, where the astronomer Ibn Rushd is pointing toward a solitary bright star hanging low in the southern sky. Al-Fam al-Hut al-Janubi, he announces with the reverence reserved for celestial landmarks, the mouth of the southern fish. You're about to discover how this isolated beacon, which we know as Fomalhaut, became one of the most important navigational stars for Islamic astronomers, earning the poetic designation that captures both its astronomical significance and its lonely splendor in the autumn sky. The star itself blazes with distinctive blue-white light at magnitude 1.16, making it the 18th brightest star visible from Earth, and by far the most prominent star in the relatively empty region of sky around the constellation Piscis Austrinus. Ibn Rushd explains that Al-Fam al-Hut al-Janubi literally means the mouth of the southern fish, referring to the constellation pattern that Arabic astronomers visualized as a large fish drinking from the water poured by the nearby constellation Aquarius. The imagery perfectly captures the star's position at the mouth of this celestial fish. Here's where the Arabic naming system reveals its sophisticated understanding of seasonal astronomy. Fomalhaut's autumn prominence makes it crucial for Islamic calendar calculations and agricultural timing. You observe how this star's heliacal rising, first appearance before dawn, coincides with important seasonal transitions in the Islamic world: the end of the date harvest, the beginning of winter preparations, and crucial religious observances that depend on accurate astronomical timing. The geographical significance of Fomalhaut becomes apparent as Ibn Rushd demonstrates its use in navigation across the Islamic world. From the perspective of observers in North Africa and the Middle East, this star appears relatively low in the southern sky, making it an ideal reference for determining southern directions and latitudes. You watch as he calculates the star's altitude above the horizon from different Islamic cities, showing how the mouth of the southern fish serves as a celestial landmark for travelers moving between major centers of Islamic civilization. But here's the quirky detail that makes Fomalhaut truly special in astronomical history. It's surrounded by a vast debris disk that modern astronomy has revealed to contain at least one planet, and possibly an entire planetary system in formation. Medieval Islamic astronomers couldn't detect this planetary system, but they noticed something unusual about Fomalhaut's isolation. Its lack of bright companion stars made it stand out dramatically against the relatively empty autumn sky. Ibn Rushd's precise observations of Fomalhaut reveal the remarkable accuracy of medieval Islamic positional astronomy. Using careful measurements with an armillary sphere, he determines the star's coordinates relative to the celestial equator and notes its distinctive color and brightness characteristics. His measurements will remain the most accurate available for centuries, demonstrating the sophisticated observational techniques developed by Islamic astronomers. The cultural resonance of the mouth of the southern fish extends throughout Arabic literature and maritime tradition. You learn that Islamic navigators, particularly those sailing the Indian Ocean and Mediterranean, used Fomalhaut as a crucial reference for southern navigation. The fish imagery resonates with maritime culture. Sailors could visualize the celestial fish drinking from heavenly waters, creating a memorable metaphor that made stellar navigation more intuitive and reliable. Historians still argue whether the fish constellation imagery originated with Arabic astronomers or was adapted from earlier Greek traditions. Ptolemy included Piscis Austrinus in his catalog, but the specific name, al-Fam al-Hut al-Janubi, represents a distinctly Islamic contribution to stellar nomenclature. The Arabic designation emphasizes the star's function as the mouth of the constellation, highlighting its role as the most prominent feature of this celestial pattern. The precision of Islamic stellar observation becomes apparent as Ibn Rushd notes Fomalhaut's subtle characteristics that distinguish it from other bright stars. He describes its pure white color, its steady light, unlike the twinkling of stars closer to the horizon, and its isolation from other bright stars. These observational details demonstrate the careful attention to stellar properties that characterize the best of medieval Islamic astronomy. The international influence of Arabic star names becomes clear as you examine how al-Fam, al-Hut al-Janubi spreads throughout the medieval astronomical community. Latin translations of Arabic texts render the name as Fam al-Haut, or similar variants, eventually evolving into the modern Fomalhaut. The name preserves the essential Arabic meaning while adapting to European linguistic patterns, demonstrating the successful transmission of Islamic astronomical knowledge to other cultures. You notice how the fish imagery creates a coherent narrative for this region of the autumn sky. The constellation Aquarius pours water from his urn, which flows down to be consumed by the southern fish, with Fomalhaut marking the point where celestial water meets the fish's mouth. This astronomical storytelling helps observers understand and remember the relationships between different star patterns, making navigation more reliable and memorable. The practical applications of Fomalhaut's name and position become clear as you observe Islamic maritime navigation techniques. Ship captains learn to use the mouth of the southern fish as a key reference for southern navigation, particularly when sailing between North African ports and destinations in the Indian Ocean. The star's distinctive isolation makes it easy to identify, while its seasonal visibility provides crucial timing information for maritime expeditions. The technological integration of Fomalhaut into Islamic astronomical instruments demonstrates the sophisticated craftsmanship of medieval instrument makers. You examine astrolabes where al-Fam al-Hut al-Janubi is carefully positioned on star maps, with special attention to its relationship with the autumn constellations. The fish imagery helps users quickly locate this important reference star, while its Arabic name preserves the cultural context that makes stellar navigation meaningful. The religious significance of accurate star positions becomes apparent when you consider their role in Islamic prayer timing and calendar calculations. Fomalhaut's autumn prominence makes it particularly important for determining the timing of religious observances that occur during this season. The precision of names like al-Fam al-Hut al-Janubi reflects the sacred importance of accurate astronomical knowledge in Islamic culture. As the lonely mouth of the southern fish continues its annual journey through the autumn sky, you realize you're witnessing the preservation of astronomical knowledge that combines practical navigation with poetic imagination. The name al-Fam al-Hut al-Jan. You stand in the midnight darkness of 12th century Cairo, where the astronomer al-Biruni is demonstrating one of the most mysterious phenomena in the night sky. He points toward a star in the constellation Perseus that appears to wink at you with unsettling regularity, dimming and brightening in a cycle that seems almost supernatural. Ras Algol, he whispers, the head of the demon. You're about to discover how Islamic astronomers became the first to systematically study variable stars, and why this particular stellar demon earned a name that still sends shivers through modern astronomy as Algol, the most famous eclipsing binary star system visible to the naked eye. The star itself presents a puzzle that challenges everything medieval astronomers thought they knew about the fixed nature of the celestial sphere. For most of the time, Ras Algol shines steadily at magnitude 2.1, but every 2 days, 20 hours and 49 minutes, it dramatically dims to magnitude 3.4 before returning to full brightness over the course of about 10 hours. Al-Biruni explains that this regular dimming cycle has been observed by Arabic astronomers for generations, earning the star its demonic designation because of its seemingly supernatural behavior. Here's where Islamic astronomical observation reveals its sophisticated understanding of stellar phenomena. Medieval Arabic astronomers didn't just notice Algol's variability. They systematically tracked its cycles and attempted to predict its dimming periods. You watch as al-Biruni consults detailed observation logs that record the star's brightness changes over months and years, demonstrating a level of systematic stellar monitoring that won't be matched in Europe for centuries. The cultural significance of Ras Algol extends deep into pre-Islamic Arabian star lore and mythology. You learn that the name literally means head of the ghoul or head of the demon, referring to the constellation pattern that Arabic astronomers visualized as a demonic figure. The variable star marks the demon's eye, which appears to wink malevolently as it dims and brightens in its mysterious cycle. This imagery reflects the unsettling nature of stellar variability in a cosmos that was supposed to be eternal and unchanging. But here's the fascinating detail that makes Algol truly special in astronomical history. Its variability is caused by a binary star system, where a dimmer companion star regularly passes in front of the brighter primary star, creating an eclipse that reduces the total light we receive. Medieval Islamic astronomers couldn't understand this mechanism, but their careful observations of the timing and duration of Algol's eclipses provide remarkably accurate data that modern astronomers still use to study this system. Al-Biruni's systematic approach to studying the demon's head reveals the sophisticated methodology of Islamic variable star observation. He maintains detailed logs of the star's brightness changes, comparing its light to nearby reference stars and noting the precise timing of each dimming cycle. His records show that Algol's period remains remarkably constant, a discovery that won't be fully appreciated until modern astrophysics explains the orbital mechanics of eclipsing binary systems. The astronomical implications of variable stars challenged fundamental assumptions about the nature of the celestial sphere. You observe heated debates among Islamic astronomers about whether stars could actually change their intrinsic brightness, or whether the dimming of Ras Algol might be caused by some form of celestial obstruction. These discussions represent some of the earliest systematic thinking about stellar evolution and the dynamic nature of the universe. Historians still argue whether Arabic astronomers were the first to discover Algol's variability or inherited knowledge of this phenomenon from earlier Babylonian or Egyptian observers. But the systematic study of variable stars appears to be a distinctly Islamic contribution to astronomy. The name Ras Algol and the careful observation records maintained by astronomers like al-Biruni represent unprecedented attention to stellar phenomena that change over time. The precision of Islamic variable star observation becomes apparent as you examine al-Biruni's timing measurements. Using water clocks and careful reference to other astronomical events, he determines that Algol's dimming cycle repeats with remarkable regularity. His period measurements differ from modern values by less than a few minutes, an extraordinary achievement considering the observational tools available in the 12th century. The international transmission of knowledge about Ras Algol follows the same patterns as other Islamic astronomical discoveries. As Arabic texts spread throughout the medieval world, European astronomers encounter descriptions of this mysterious variable star. The name undergoes the familiar process of linguistic evolution, transforming from Ras Algol through various Latin renderings to eventually become Algol in modern astronomy. You notice how the demonic imagery associated with Algol reflects the profound unease that variable stars created in medieval cosmology. The idea that stars could change contradicted fundamental assumptions about the perfection and immutability of the celestial sphere. Ra's al-Ghul represented a crack in the cosmic order, a hint that the universe might be more dynamic and mysterious than previously imagined. The practical applications of Algol's predictable variability become clear as you observe Islamic timekeeping applications. Some astronomers attempt to use the star's regular dimming cycle as a celestial clock, though its relatively long period makes it less useful than daily stellar motion for most timing purposes. However, the predictability of the demon's wink provides a fascinating example of how variable phenomena could potentially serve practical functions. The technological challenges of observing variable stars become apparent as you watch al-Biruni's careful comparison techniques. Without photometric instruments, medieval astronomers had to rely on visual magnitude estimates made by comparing variable stars to nearby reference stars. The accuracy of their results demonstrates remarkable skill in naked-eye photometry, techniques that remained essentially unchanged until the invention of photographic and electronic light measuring devices. The philosophical implications of stellar variability extend beyond pure astronomy into broader questions about the nature of change and permanence in the universe. You overhear scholars debating whether Ra's al-Ghul represents divine intervention in the natural order or evidence of previously unknown physical processes operating in the celestial sphere. These discussions anticipate modern questions about stellar evolution and the dynamic nature of cosmic phenomena. As the demon's head continues its eternal winking in the constellation Perseus, you realize you find yourself on the roof observatory of 13th century Samarkand, where the great astronomer Ulugh Beg is demonstrating the celestial mechanics of the Northern Cross to a gathering of international scholars. The brilliant star at the tail of Cygnus blazes overhead like a celestial beacon, and Ulugh Beg speaks its Arabic name with the precision of a master navigator. Danab al-Dajaja, the tail of the hen. You're about to discover how this distant supergiant, which we know as Deneb, became one of the most important navigational stars in the medieval world, serving as a crucial reference point for travelers crossing the vast expanses of the Islamic Empire. The star itself commands attention with its brilliant white light shining at magnitude 1.25, making it the 19th brightest star visible from Earth and the most distant of the bright stars commonly used for navigation. Ulugh Beg explains that Danab al-Dajaja literally means tail of the hen, referring to the constellation pattern that Arabic astronomers visualized as a large bird flying along the Milky Way. The imagery perfectly captures the star's position at the tail of this celestial fowl, marking the end of the bird's extended neck and body. Here's where the Arabic naming system reveals its sophisticated understanding of stellar navigation. Deneb's position near the North Celestial Pole makes it circumpolar for most observers in the Islamic world, meaning it never sets below the horizon and remains visible throughout the year. You observe how Islamic navigators use the tail of the hen as a crucial reference for determining northern directions, particularly during summer months when it passes nearly overhead for observers at northern latitudes. The astronomical significance of Deneb becomes apparent as Ulugh Beg demonstrates its role in the famous summer triangle asterism. Along with Vega, al-Nasr al-Waki, and Altair al-Nasr Altair, Deneb forms one of the most recognizable star patterns in the northern sky. You watch as he traces the triangle's outline, explaining how these three brilliant stars serve as fundamental landmarks for stellar navigation throughout the summer season. But here's the remarkable detail that makes Deneb truly extraordinary. It's one of the most luminous stars known to astronomy, with an intrinsic brightness roughly 200,000 times greater than our Sun, at a distance of approximately 2,600 light-years. Deneb is by far the most distant star visible to the naked eye that's commonly used for navigation. Medieval Islamic astronomers couldn't measure these vast distances, but they recognized something special about this star's steady, brilliant light that distinguished it from other bright stars. Ulugh Beg's precise observations of Deneb reveal the remarkable accuracy achievable through medieval Islamic positional astronomy. Using the massive Fakhri sextant, a 40-meter radius instrument built specifically for stellar observations, he determines the star's coordinates with unprecedented precision. His measurements of Deneb al-Dajjal will remain the most accurate available for centuries, demonstrating the sophisticated observational techniques developed at the Samarkand Observatory. The cultural context of the Hen constellation extends throughout Islamic astronomical tradition. You learn that Arabic astronomers visualize this region of the Milky Way as a great bird flying along the celestial river, with Deneb marking the bird's tail feathers. This imagery resonates with nomadic culture, where the flight patterns of birds provided crucial information about weather, seasons, and navigation. The celestial hen serves as a permanent guide in the sky, always pointing the way for earthbound travelers. Historians still argue whether the bird imagery for Cygnus originated with Arabic astronomers or was adapted from earlier Greek traditions. Ptolemy included the constellation as the bird, but the specific name, Deneb al-Dajjal, represents a distinctly Islamic contribution to stellar nomenclature. The Arabic designation emphasizes the star's position as the tail of the celestial bird, highlighting its role as the most distant and prominent feature of this constellation pattern. The precision of Islamic stellar nomenclature becomes apparent as you examine how different Arabic sources handle constellation imagery in this region of the sky. Some astronomers prefer to see the pattern as a swan al-Dajjal can refer to various large birds, while others emphasize the hen imagery, but all agree on Deneb's position as the tail star. This consistency in positional designation demonstrates the systematic approach that characterized medieval Islamic astronomy. The international influence of Arabic star names becomes clear as you observe how Deneb al-Dajjal spreads throughout the medieval astronomical community. Latin translations of Arabic texts render the name as Deneb, from Danab, meaning tail, preserving the essential positional meaning while simplifying the full designation. The modern name directly reflects its Arabic origin, though the hen imagery has been largely forgotten in contemporary astronomy. You notice how the summer triangle formed by Deneb, Vega, and Altair creates a coherent navigational system that spans the entire northern sky. These three brilliant stars, the tail of the hen, the swooping eagle, and the flying eagle, provide a comprehensive framework for stellar navigation that remains useful for modern astronomers and navigators. The Arabic names preserve the cultural context that made this star pattern meaningful to medieval observers. The practical applications of Deneb's name and position become clear as you observe navigation training in Samarkand's astronomical school. Student navigators learn to use the tail of the hen as a fundamental reference for northern navigation, its circumpolar nature making it available throughout the year for direction finding and latitude determination. The star's brilliant magnitude ensures visibility even in moderately light-polluted conditions. The technological integration of Deneb into Islamic astronomical instruments demonstrates the sophisticated craftsmanship of medieval instrument makers. You examine astrolabes where Deneb al-Dajaja is carefully positioned on star maps, with special attention to its relationship with other bright stars in the summer triangle. The bird imagery helps users quickly locate this important reference star, while its Arabic name preserves the cultural context that makes stellar navigation intuitive. The religious significance of accurate star positions becomes apparent when you consider their role in Islamic prayer timing and calendar calculations. Deneb's position near the north celestial pole makes it particularly useful for determining the Qibla direction of Mecca from various locations throughout the Islamic world. The precision of names like Deneb al-Dajaja reflects the sacred importance of accurate astronomical knowledge in Islamic religious practice. As the tail of the celestial hen continues its eternal flight along the Milky Way, you realize you're witnessing the preservation of astronomical knowledge that combines practical navigation with poetic imagination. The name Deneb al-Dajaja represents the sophisticated synthesis that made Islamic astronomy both scientifically precise and culturally meaningful, creating stellar nomenclature that has guided travelers and inspired astronomers for You find yourself in the crisp mountain air of 11th century Ghazni, where the polymath al-Biruni is conducting his systematic survey of northern stars for the court of Mahmud of Ghazni. He points toward a brilliant yellow star high in the constellation Auriga and speaks its Arabic name with the careful pronunciation of a scholar who has traced its etymology through multiple linguistic traditions. Al-Ayuk, the driver or goat herd. You're about to discover how this star, which we know as Capella, became one of the most important seasonal markers in the Islamic calendar system, and why its Arabic name preserves ancient pastoral traditions that connect celestial observation to earthly shepherding. The star itself blazes with distinctive golden light at magnitude 0.08, making it the sixth brightest star visible from Earth and the most prominent star in the northern constellation Auriga. Al-Biruni explains that al-Ayuk derives from ancient Arabic roots meaning to drive or to herd, referring to the star's role as a celestial shepherd guiding other stars across the sky. The name reflects the practical astronomy of nomadic peoples, who saw in this bright star a cosmic parallel to their own pastoral activities. Here's where the Arabic naming system reveals its deep connection to seasonal agriculture and animal husbandry. Capella's heliacal rising, first appearance before dawn, coincides with crucial periods in the Islamic agricultural calendar, particularly the timing of goat and sheep breeding seasons. You observe how al-Biruni correlates the star's annual cycle with pastoral activities, demonstrating how astronomical observation served practical economic functions in medieval Islamic society. The astronomical significance of Capella becomes apparent as al-Biruni demonstrates its use in northern navigation and timekeeping. This star's high northern declination makes it circumpolar for observers at latitudes above 44 degrees north, meaning it never sets for viewers in the northern regions of the Islamic world. You watch as he calculates the star's altitude from various Islamic cities, showing how the driver serves as a reliable celestial landmark for travelers moving through the northern territories of the empire. But here's the fascinating detail that makes Capella truly special in astronomical history. It's actually a complex multiple star system containing at least 4 individual stars, with the 2 brightest components being giant stars that orbit each other every 104 days. Medieval Islamic astronomers couldn't resolve this complexity, but they noticed something unusual about Capella's light. a subtle color variation and occasional flickering that distinguished it from other bright stars in the northern sky. Al-Biruni's systematic observations of al-Ayaq reveal the sophisticated methodology of Islamic stellar astronomy. He maintains detailed records of the star's seasonal visibility, noting its relationships to other bright stars and its role in various constellation patterns. His observations include careful measurements of the star's coordinates, magnitude estimates, and detailed notes about its distinctive golden color that sets it apart from the blue-white stars that dominate many other constellations. The cultural resonance of the driver extends throughout Arabic literature and pastoral tradition. You learn that Islamic poets often used Capella as a metaphor for guidance and leadership, the celestial shepherd who leads other stars through their nightly journey across the sky. This imagery resonates deeply with nomadic culture, where the skills of herding and navigation were closely related and equally essential for survival in harsh environments. Historians still argue whether the driver imagery for Capella originated with Arabic astronomers or was inherited from earlier Mesopotamian traditions. But the specific name, al-Ayaq, appears to represent a distinctly Islamic contribution to stellar nomenclature. The Arabic designation emphasizes the star's role as a guide and leader, highlighting its function as a reliable reference point for both navigation and seasonal timing. The precision of Islamic stellar observation becomes apparent as al-Biruni notes Capella's distinctive characteristics that help distinguish it from other bright stars. He describes its warm golden color, its steady light, unlike the twinkling of stars closer to the horizon, and its consistent brightness throughout the year. These observational details demonstrate the careful attention to stellar properties that characterize the best of medieval Islamic astronomy. The international influence of Arabic star names becomes clear as you examine how al-Ayaq spreads throughout the medieval astronomical community. The name undergoes various transformations as it passes through different linguistic traditions, sometimes appearing as al-Hajjath in Latin texts, other times rendered as Capella, little goat in translations that emphasize the pastoral imagery. The modern name, Capella, preserves the goat-herding association while adapting the designation to European astronomical tradition. You notice how the driver imagery creates a coherent narrative for the constellation Auriga. The bright star Capella represents the charioteer or goat herd, while nearby stars form the outline of his chariot or the goats he tends. This astronomical storytelling helps observers understand and remember the relationships between different stars in the constellation, making navigation more reliable and memorable. The practical applications of Capella's name and position become clear as you observe Islamic agricultural timing techniques. Farmers and herders learn to use the driver as a key reference for seasonal planning, its annual cycle providing crucial information about optimal times for breeding livestock, planning migrations, and preparing for seasonal weather changes. The star's distinctive brightness and color make it easy to identify, while its seasonal visibility provides reliable timing information. The technological integration of Capella into Islamic astronomical instruments demonstrates the sophisticated craftsmanship of medieval instrument makers. You examine astrolabes where al-Ayaq is carefully positioned on star maps, with special attention to its relationship with other northern stars. The driver imagery helps users quickly locate this important reference star, while its Arabic name preserves the cultural context that connects stellar observation to practical pastoral activities. The religious significance of accurate star positions becomes apparent when you consider their role in Islamic calendar calculations and prayer timing. Capella's northern position and distinctive brightness make it particularly useful for determining accurate directions and times for religious observances, especially in the northern regions of the Islamic world, where other reference stars might be less reliable. The economic implications of stellar timing become clear as you observe how al-Ayaq influences trade and commerce throughout the Islamic world. Merchants and traders use the star's seasonal cycle to plan caravan routes, time market activities, and coordinate with agricultural seasons that determine the availability of various goods. The precision of stellar calendars based on stars like Capella helps synchronize economic activities across vast geographical distances. As the celestial driver continues its eternal journey through the northern sky, you realize you're witnessing the preservation of astronomical knowledge that perfectly integrates practical necessity with cultural meaning. The name, you stand in the fragrant gardens of 12th century Cordoba, where the renowned astronomer Ibn Rushd is demonstrating the celestial mechanics of the spring sky to a gathering of scholars from across Al-Andalus. The brilliant blue-white star that marks the wheat sheaf in the constellation Virgo blazes overhead, and Ibn Rushd speaks its Arabic name with the reverence reserved for the most important agricultural markers. Al-Simek al-Azal, the unarmed one. You're about to discover how this star, which we know as Spica, became the fundamental reference point for Islamic agricultural astronomy, and why its Arabic name preserves a crucial distinction that helped medieval farmers time their most important seasonal activities. The star itself commands attention with its brilliant blue-white radiance, shining at magnitude 0.97 and serving as the 16th brightest star visible from Earth. Ibn Rushd explains that al-Simek al-Azal literally means the lofty unarmed one, distinguishing it from its celestial companion al-Simek al-Rahmi, Arcturus, which means the lofty spear-bearer. The two Simek stars, Spica and Arcturus, form a pair of spring navigation markers that Islamic astronomers use to track the crucial agricultural season when crops are planted and tended. Here's where the Arabic naming system reveals its sophisticated understanding of seasonal astronomy and agricultural timing. Spica's heliacal rising, first appearance before dawn, occurs in late winter or early spring, marking the optimal time for planting wheat and barley throughout much of the Islamic world. You observe how Ibn Rushd correlates the star's annual cycle with agricultural activities, demonstrating how astronomical observations served essential economic functions in medieval Islamic society. The agricultural significance of the unarmed one becomes apparent as Ibn Rushd demonstrates its role in the Islamic farming calendar. Unlike Arcturus, which appears to carry a spear formed by the handle of the Big Dipper, Spica stands alone in the constellation Virgo, unarmed but brilliant. This imagery reflects the peaceful nature of agricultural work. The farmer tends crops with tools of cultivation rather than weapons of war, and Spica serves as the celestial patron of this essential peaceful labor. But here's the remarkable detail that makes Spica truly special in astronomical history. It's actually a close binary star system where two massive stars orbit each other every 4 days, creating subtle variations in brightness and spectral characteristics. Medieval Islamic astronomers couldn't detect this binary nature, but they noticed something distinctive about Spica's light, a pure blue-white color that distinguished it from the warmer hues of stars like Arcturus and Capella. Ibn Rushd's precise observations of al-Simek al-Azal reveal the sophisticated methodology of Islamic agricultural astronomy. He maintains detailed records correlating the star's position with seasonal weather patterns, crop growth cycles, and optimal planting times for various agricultural regions throughout Al-Andalus. His observations demonstrate how astronomical knowledge directly supported the economic prosperity of Islamic civilization. The cultural context of the Simak stars extends throughout Arabic astronomical and agricultural tradition. You learn that the two lofty ones, Spica and Arcturus, were considered among the most important stars for practical astronomy, their spring prominence making them crucial for timing agricultural activities, religious observances, and seasonal festivals. The distinction between armed and unarmed reflects the peaceful versus martial aspects of human activity, with Spica representing the productive, nurturing side of civilization. Historians still argue whether the Simak designation originated with Arabic astronomers or was inherited from earlier Mesopotamian agricultural astronomy. But the specific distinction between al-Azal, unarmed, and al-Rahman, spear-bearer, appears to be a distinctly Islamic contribution to stellar nomenclature. This naming system demonstrates the sophisticated way Islamic astronomers integrated practical observation with cultural meaning. The precision of Islamic stellar nomenclature becomes apparent as you examine how the Simak stars function as a coordinated system for spring navigation and timing. Spica and Arcturus rise at different times and follow different paths across the sky, but together they provide comprehensive coverage of the spring season. Ibn Rushd's careful measurements of both stars' positions and timing create a reliable framework for agricultural planning throughout the Islamic world. The international influence of Arabic star names becomes clear as you observe how al-Simak al-Azal spreads throughout medieval astronomical texts. Latin translations render the name as Azimich or similar variants, while the modern name Spica derives from the Latin Spica virginis, wheat sheaf of the Virgin, preserving the agricultural imagery while adapting it to European astronomical tradition. The Arabic origin remains embedded in the star's technical designation. You notice how the wheat sheaf imagery connects Spica to the constellation Virgo, traditionally depicted as a maiden holding a sheaf of grain. This agricultural symbolism spans multiple cultures and demonstrates how stellar nomenclature preserves essential knowledge about seasonal timing and agricultural cycles. The unarmed designation emphasizes the peaceful, productive nature of farming activities that depend on accurate stellar timing. The practical applications of Spica's name and position become clear as you observe Islamic agricultural education. Farmers throughout Al-Andalus learn to use the unarmed one as a fundamental reference for spring planting, its annual cycle providing crucial information about optimal timing for various crops. The star's brilliant magnitude and distinctive color make it easy to identify, while its seasonal visibility provides reliable agricultural guidance. The technological integration of Spica into Islamic astronomical instruments demonstrates the sophisticated connection between stellar observation and practical agriculture. You examine astrolabes where al-Simak al-Azal is carefully positioned relative to seasonal markers, allowing farmers and agricultural administrators to coordinate planting schedules across vast geographical regions. The precision of these instruments reflects the economic importance of accurate agricultural timing. The religious significance of agricultural timing becomes apparent when you consider the role of harvest festivals and seasonal observances in Islamic culture. Spica's position helps determine the timing of celebrations related to spring planting and autumn harvest, connecting astronomical observation to religious and cultural practices that strengthen community bonds and preserve agricultural knowledge across generations. The economic implications of stellar agricultural timing extend throughout the Islamic world's complex trade networks. You observe how the coordination provided by stars like al-Simek al-Azal helps synchronize agricultural production across different regions, enabling efficient trade in agricultural products and supporting the economic integration that characterized medieval Islamic civilization at its height. As the unarmed guardian of the wheat sheaf continues its eternal vigil over the spring sky, you realize you're witnessing the preservation of astronomical knowledge that directly supported human survival and prosperity. The name al-Simek al-Azal represents the sophisticated integration of cosmic observation with earthly necessity, creating stellar nomenclature that you find yourself in the twilight hours of a 13th century evening in Baghdad, where the last great astronomers of the classical Islamic period are gathering in the House of Wisdom's observatory for what they don't yet know will be among their final systematic observations. The Mongol armies are approaching from the east, and within decades, this center of astronomical learning will lie in ruins. But tonight, as you watch these scholars carefully recording star positions and debating the finer points of stellar nomenclature, you're witnessing the culmination of 5 centuries of Islamic astronomical achievement, a legacy written in light that will guide humanity long after the libraries have burned and the instruments have been scattered to the winds. The elderly astronomer Ibn al-Shadir adjusts his astrolabe one final time, its bronze surface gleaming with the names of stars that have become as familiar as old friends. Aldebaran the Follower, Vega the Swooping Eagle, Altair the Flying Eagle, Betelgeuse the Giant's Shoulder, Rigel the Left Foot of Jawza. Each name represents not just a point of light in the darkness, but a triumph of human observation, cultural synthesis, and scientific precision that transformed how our species relates to the cosmos. Here's what makes this moment so poignant. These Islamic astronomers created something unprecedented in human history, a systematic, international nomenclature for the stars that transcended political boundaries, religious differences, and cultural divisions. You watch as scholars from Cordoba debate stellar positions with colleagues from Samarkand, their shared Arabic star names providing a common language that makes precise astronomical communication possible across vast distances and diverse cultures. The technical achievement of Islamic stellar nomenclature becomes clear as you examine the precision and consistency of their naming systems. Unlike the chaotic mixture of mythological references that characterized earlier Greek star names, Arabic designations follow logical patterns based on careful observation and systematic description. Aldebaran follows the Pleiades. Al-Simek al-Azal stands unarmed while al-Simek al-Rahman bears his spear, and the anatomical precision of Orion's Arabic names creates a complete celestial anatomy lesson. But here's the remarkable aspect of this astronomical legacy. It wasn't created in isolation by ivory tower scholars, but emerged from the practical needs of a civilization that spanned 3 continents and required accurate navigation, precise timekeeping, and reliable seasonal markers. Every Arabic star name you've encountered tonight serves multiple functions: navigation aid, agricultural timer, religious calendar marker, and poetic inspiration rolled into a single, memorable designation. The cultural synthesis, represented by Islamic star names, reflects the cosmopolitan nature of medieval Islamic civilization. You observe how these astronomers preserved and transformed Greek astronomical knowledge while incorporating insights from Indian mathematics, Persian observational techniques, and indigenous Arabic star lore. The result isn't mere translation but genuine innovation, a new astronomical tradition that improved upon its sources while creating something entirely original. Ibn al-Shadir demonstrates the international impact of Islamic astronomy by showing you correspondence with astronomers across the known world. Letters from scholars in Toledo, Cairo, Damascus, Isfahan, and Delhi all reference the same Arabic star names, creating a unified astronomical discourse that enables collaborative research and shared discoveries. This scientific internationalism won't be matched again until the modern era of global scientific communication. Historians still argue about the relative contributions of different Islamic astronomical centers, but the evidence suggests a remarkably collaborative enterprise. The star names you've learned tonight represent the collective achievement of hundreds of astronomers working across 5 centuries and dozens of cities, each building upon the observations and insights of their predecessors, while adding their own discoveries to the growing corpus of stellar knowledge. The precision of Islamic astronomical measurement becomes apparent as Ibn al-Shadir compares his observations with those recorded by al-Sufi 3 centuries earlier. The consistency of stellar positions and the accuracy of coordinate measurements demonstrate a level of observational skill that won't be surpassed until the invention of telescopic instruments. These naked-eye astronomers achieved precision that rivals modern measurements, using only astrolabes, armillary spheres, and careful mathematical analysis. The preservation of Islamic star names through the coming centuries will depend on their practical utility and cultural resonance. You realize that names like Aldebaran, Vega, Altair, and Rigel will survive not because they're imposed by authority, but because they work. They help observers identify stars, remember stellar relationships, and navigate both literally and figuratively through the complexities of celestial observation. The technological legacy of Islamic astronomy extends far beyond star names into the fundamental methods and instruments of astronomical observation. The astrolabe, the armillary sphere, the quadrant, and dozens of other precision instruments developed by Islamic craftsmen will spread throughout the world, carrying Arabic star names engraved on their surfaces and embedded in their operational procedures. You notice how the Arabic star names create narrative coherence in the night sky. They're not just random labels, but elements of interconnected stories that help observers understand and remember stellar relationships. The 2 eagles of summer, the anatomical precision of Orion, the agricultural timing of the Simak stars, and the seasonal markers of the zodiac create a comprehensive system for organizing and accessing astronomical knowledge. The educational impact of systematic star names becomes clear as you observe teaching methods in the House of Wisdom. Students learn stellar identification not through rote memorization, but through understanding the cultural and observational logic behind each name. Aldebaran follows because it literally follows. Ra's Algol winks because it actually winks. And al-Simak al-Azal stands unarmed because it visually appears isolated from other bright stars. The economic implications of accurate stellar nomenclature extend throughout the Islamic world's vast trade networks. Merchants, sailors, and caravan leaders all depend on the precision and consistency of Arabic star names for navigation and timing. The standardization of stellar nomenclature supports economic integration by enabling reliable communication about routes, schedules, and seasonal opportunities across the entire Islamic commercial system. As the last light fades from the western sky and the familiar stars begin their nightly dance, you realize you're witnessing the end of an era, but also the beginning of an eternal legacy. The Arabic star names created by these medieval Islamic astronomers will outlast empires, survive the destruction of libraries, and guide humanity through centuries of exploration, discovery, and wonder. Tonight, as you watch these scholars make their final observations, You're seeing the moment when human beings first truly learned to read the cosmic script written in light across the darkness, a skill that will illuminate our path to the stars themselves. The soft whisper of night wind carries the last echoes of ancient observations across the centuries, and you find yourself drifting between the medieval observatories of Baghdad and the quiet darkness of your own room. The star names you've learned tonight: Aldebaran, Vega, Altair, Betelgeuse, Rigel, Fomalhaut, Algol, Deneb, Capella, Spica, continue their eternal dance overhead, carrying with them the voices of astronomers who lived and worked 1,000 years ago, yet speak to us still through the poetry of their precise observations. These Arabic names represent more than mere labels for distant suns. They embody the marriage of scientific rigor and cultural meaning that characterizes humanity at its finest. Each designation preserves not just stellar coordinates, but entire worldviews, connecting the practical needs of navigation and agriculture to the deeper human desire to find meaning and beauty in the cosmos. The medieval Islamic astronomers who created this stellar nomenclature achieved something remarkable. They made the infinite accessible, the distant familiar, and the complex beautiful. As your breathing slows and your thoughts begin to drift like clouds across the night sky, remember that these same stars that guided medieval caravans across desert wastes and helped farmers time their crucial plantings continue to shine down upon us with unchanged brilliance. The Arabic names they carry connect us to a tradition of careful observation, cultural synthesis, and scientific achievement that spans centuries and continents, reminding us that human curiosity and precision can create legacies that outlast empires and illuminate paths we have yet to discover. Let the gentle rhythm of stellar motion carry you into peaceful sleep, knowing that somewhere above, the follower continues to chase the seven sisters, the swooping eagle maintains its eternal hunt, and the giant's shoulder pulses with the slow heartbeat of a dying star. These cosmic companions, named with such care by astronomers who understood that science and poetry are not opposites, but partners in the human quest to comprehend our